beautiful afternoon in downtown Miami. Roof is closed, AC's on, Phillies in town, weekend series, which opened with a Marlins win last night. Come on inside, Marlins Park. Phillies and Marlins being introduced right now. We've got baseball for you this afternoon. Everybody, Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. We told you yesterday you had two clubs that were looking up at the rest of the East, wanting to get a spark, wanting to get some momentum. Well, the Marlins have taken the first step with a win last night.
Yeah, that was a good step to take, and you look at this game today, the Marlins trying to do something they haven't done since the very end of the month of May, and that's win 3 in a row.
Marlins have always been, in the last month, searching for offense from someone other than, say, a Jose Reyes or a Giancarlo Stanton. They seem to have found it with Justin Ruggiano. Wherever he plays, wherever he hits, he has produced.
He has really settled in, and he's really taken to the opportunity that he's been given. Justin Ruggiano is a student of the game. He works at his game. He's been pulling balls. He's been driving balls the other way. The last 5 games that he started, he said base hits. He's gone 10 for 19 during that stretch. How about the base hits? He has 11 extra base hits of his 19 hits. So he's also been very, very productive. And once again, Ruggiano in there in center field today against Cole Hamels.
Marlins last night beat a pretty good left-hander in Cliff Lee, who's now 0-5. It's amazing that Lee doesn't have a win. That's not the case with the left-hander the Marlins are going to see in this one, and that's Cole Hamels. But Mark Buehrle is on the scene for the Fish.
You know, it'll really be interesting to see how Hamels reacts to a ball club that's beaten him 2 times this year. And keep in mind, they beat him in the smaller ballpark, Citizens Bank. But in his career, 21 starts against the Fish. He's 6-9. Now, look at his overall record, 84-57. 6 straight years, he's won 10 or more games. You know what? That's nothing. Mark Buehrle's won 10 or more games 11 straight years. He's trying to beat the Phillies for the first time this year.
And Buehrle gets the ball for the Fish. Hamels going for the Phillies. Marlins trying to make it 3 in a row, trying to build some momentum. When we get back, offensive numbers trending upward in the last 2 games. And that's a good sign for the Miami Marlins, who take on the Phillies next. Mariners last night by a 6-2 score. Let's start this one out in center field. All decked out in blue. Greg Minervini, Jeff Conine.
Hey, Rich, good to be with you, and hello again, everybody. The Marlins offense is showing a lot of life. Had a good time here before they hit the All-Star break. Been a key in large part to winning 3 of the last 5 games.
Very key, especially the bottom third of the lineup. You've had the Marlins the last 3 games in double digits in hits, 11, 10, and 11, 6, 5, and 7 runs. So everything's clicking right now offensively, especially John Buck, who's been a huge boost in the bottom of that lineup with some big home runs.
And you're getting it from top to bottom a little more now. Reyes getting on. Look at the last 2 games alone at 323. Even go back to that Jays game 5 games ago. They had 9 runs on 8 hits. So it was only that one quiet game against the Cardinals. Other than that, you're seeing production in different slots in the lineup, which we haven't seen a lot of this year.
No, we haven't, and we've gotten some production with men in scoring position where so far this season the Marlins have been really bad at it, but the last 4 games are 6 for 18. So good signs heading into the All-Star break.
Mix some good pitching in like we've seen from JJ, from Burley, and the other guys here, Annabelle, and the Marlins are going to have that combination and try to ride it to a lot of victories here toward the end of the first half and certainly into the second half of the season. Good matchup today. You're going to have to be on your game to get on base against these 2 guys. Very successful left-handers, 2 of the best in the business. They go about it different ways. Mark Burley's been impressive, making his
Visit your local Toyota dealer today for great deals on an amazing lineup of Toyota vehicles. Toyota, moving forward. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Papa John's. Right now at Papa John's, get any large pizza, even specialties, for only $12. Well, 2 things we know. The Marlins and the Phillies are about to start, and Mark Burley will work quickly. Burley already up on the mound waiting, now back of the mound, composing himself and ready to roll. 16th start, 6-8. Marlins didn't support him early. His ERA right about 3.5. Pinch it, Penny brings you the first pitch.
Coming off a really good start against Toronto and trying to beat the Phillies for the first time this year.
And he throws a strike to Jimmy Rollins. Placido Polanco, Chase Utley to follow for the Phillies. The Phillies have dropped 3 in a row. Rollins pulls that one foul. And the Marlins, for the first time since early June when they beat the Phillies in consecutive ball games in Philly. The Marlins have won 2 straight. Ozzie Guillen's bunch now 4 under 500 at 36 and 40. Burley's 0-2 pitch to Rollins. Darts outside, and the count is 1-2. Rollins last night an 0 for 3 night. Phil's got their offense from Hunter Pence last night. A solo homer and an RBI single. Strike 3 called. Rollins frozen. Doug Eddings rings him up. And there's 1 out here in the first. Charlie Manuel's lineup includes Rollins. Polanco now up in the 2 spot. Chase Utley, 2nd consecutive start. He's at 2nd. Carlos Ruiz is having an all-star season. Hunter Pence should be considered for the all-star game as well. Shane Victorino in center. Ty Wigginton plays first base. John Mayberry's in left. And Hamels will hit 9th. And here is Polanco, who had 2 hits last night. And a fastball floats high. Polanco, a guy that this year has had good success against the Fish. And he's had good success against Mark Burley. We always seem to find one guy on every team, not a big power hitter, a guy that you would think that has had success against Burley, and Polanco is the guy for the Phillies. .439 average, and that has come in 41 at bats. The count's 1-2.
You know, that pitch that Mark Burley threw to strike out Jimmy Rollins, a good fastball in. And in watching Burley this year, it's one thing you've learned about him. He doesn't throw hard, 85, but he keeps hitters honest with that fastball inside. And then he'll go soft stuff away.
1-2 to the Phillies' third baseman, a Gold Glover last year. For the first time at third base, he'd won a couple at second base. Polanco takes away. Yeah, the other guys that whose numbers just have jumped off the page this year: Willie Bloomquist of the Diamondbacks, Melky Cabrera of the Giants. That one fouled out of the glove of John Buck. Counts 2-2.
Then again, Melky's been jumping off a lot of pages this year.
Yes, he has.
You would expect on his way to the All-Star game, Melky Cabrera hitting .354, 3rd in the league.
That's a real tight group because Carlos Ruiz, who is 2 hitters away, is hitting .358. Burley goes full now on Polanco. There's Ruiz. That's in the hole, to call it in baseball parlance, right behind the on-deck hitter. 10 rows in, count stays at 3-2.
So you heard Little League coaches. Jimmy, you're on deck. Bobby, you're in the hole. Keep your eye on the game.
Three-two. Up the middle, Reyes racing behind the bag. Flips to first in time. Nice play. Burley almost got a cleat on that.
He was thinking about it.
Yeah, after watching what happened to Edward Mujica last night, he may want to reconsider. Here's the defense brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And there it is with Lomo, Ruggiano, and Stanton in the outfield. Saw the nice play by Reyes, and Fontes, his double play partner. Gabby's at first, and the hot-hitting John Buck behind the plate.
If you've just joined us and you haven't heard the news, Edward Mujica has a broken toe. Little toe on the right foot. It was fractured. He's in a boot on the 15-day disabled list. The good news is that the All-Star break comes during those 15 games, and that the break is not a severe one, and he could be back within 2, 3, 4 weeks, just depending on how the toe heals.
You know, and in talking to Mujica, he was adamant about the fact that he wants to be back in 2 weeks. Could have been a lot worse. It could have been up a little higher, as it was with Andy Pettitte, who took a comebacker and broke his ankle.
And you were very prescient last night when you talked about the ball off his toe, because you said you really can't judge how severe that is. Just look at what happened to Andy Pettitte, and Mujica ends up with a broken toe. Marlins have yet to announce who they are bringing up. Ozzie Guillen, before the ball game, said that he was going to meet with Michael Hill, Larry Beinfest, the rest of the Marlins brass. He wanted someone that could give him some innings. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Utley goes after a Burley changeup.
Burley's one of the few Marlins starters that's really taken advantage of pitching in this ballpark. He's 4-3, but has a 2.80 ERA at home, and he's outspoken about the fact that he knows in this park he can make a mistake, and it might stay in the park. It might not go out.
Doubled up on the changeup, and he strikes out Utley. A 1-2-3 first for Mark Burley. Even Dancing Girl is here to watch the Phillies and the Fish. Marlins lineup looks this way. Jose Reyes in the leadoff spot. Hanley Ramirez behind him. Giancarlo Stanton, 2 hits last night. Logan Morrison with a couple of hits, including a double. Justin Ruggiano, 3 hits last night. Omar Infante drove in a run. Gabby Sanchez hit 7th. John Buck will do the catching. Mark Burley hits 9th.
Boy, so many times the Marlins have seen Cole Hamels. He's 6-9 against the Marlins in his career. 2 of his losses this year against the Fish. It'll be interesting to watch and see if he makes adjustments. At times, he'll stay with that changeup a lot, use that pitch 2 or 3 times in a row.
Well, we saw Burley get Utley on changeups. That was the first career at bat for Utley against Mark Burley. For the Marlins, it's the 3rd time that they've faced Hamels this year, and they have beaten him twice. On April 9th, 6-2. June 2nd, 5-4. Reyes swings and misses
at the changeup.
Reyes, one of the Marlins with good numbers against Hamels. 45 career at bats, and Reyes is a .356 hitter. Another changeup.
All right, we talked about how he'll use that changeup 2 times, sometimes 3 times in a row. He'll keep you honest with a cut fastball in, though, too.
Reyes pulls a ground ball. Polanco backs up and then throws across the diamond in time.
Take a look at the scouting report brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Easy and fluid. Always has that easy delivery. Change-ups anytime. Philly future. What is his future in Philadelphia?
Now, did you learn how to spell like that when you played for the Phillies?
Yeah, anything with a was spelled with a PH. Well, maybe not everything.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Here's the pitch to Reyes, and it's outside. Or, excuse me, to Hanley, and it's outside. Hanley to be followed by Giancarlo Stanton. Hanley 1 for 4. A double last night. Strokes that one into right field. That's a base hit. Pence over to get it. Hanley around first. He is headed to second. Pence has a great arm, and that's not a good decision at all.
No, it's not. It depends on the right fielder you know that Pence has an outstanding arm and very accurate. The play was in front of Hanley. He made that choice to go and try to get to second base. It was a good approach. It's good news and bad news on Hanley as at bat. Good approach, not so good base running.
Pence always among the league leaders in assists, now with 8. And Giancarlo Stanton is up. So a base hit, but an out. And there's 2 outs and nobody on. Stanton against Hamels. Runs the fastball away. Ball and a strike. 2 for 3 in last night's ball game. Terrific article in this week's Sports Illustrated on Giancarlo Stanton. The home plate umpire, Doug Eddings, said that he went around, and the count evens at 2-2.
Yeah, Eddings making that call on the swing. I just think it'll be great that Giancarlo is going to get some national attention participating in the home run derby.
Well, the home runs, that's what stole the show in this Sports Illustrated article. They were talking about all the stories of his minor league home runs, the home runs at his high school showcase event.
I'll tell you, he had that showcase event at a ballpark called Blair Field in Long Beach.
Absolutely.
And I know that.
Yeah,
I know that ballpark. It is tough to hit balls out of there.
3-2 coming. Drills it. Left field. Get out of here. Wow, a rocket.
Add that one to the list.
And it's 1-0.
Giancarlo with another laser show. A line drive that was still climbing when it hit the wall. Right on the Jackie Robinson number, the retired number, a changeup. He stayed back and absolutely drilled
it. This place is buzzing. Here's Morrison. And he takes down low.
That's why when you come to a Marlins game, you want to be sure to get here in the first inning to see Stanton's first AB.
And that's one of the reasons Ozzie Guillen moved Hanley Ramirez to the 2 spot and Stanton to the 3 spot. Morrison lines it to center, and Victorino makes the catch because he wanted Giancarlo Stanton to hit in the first inning. And boy, did he ever in this first inning. Changeup coming in. The express going out. Second, 1-0. Giancarlo Stanton with a solo homer. A laser beam that banged off the wall just to the left of the Clevelander. Carlos Ruiz, Hunter Pence, Shane Victorino against Mark Burley. Ruiz last night was 0 for 4, and that a moral victory for the Marlins. Liner to right. No 0 for in this one for Chooch. Stanton slides, kicks it. Ruiz to second, and that's as far as he'll get.
Yeah, pretty sure he would have had the double anyway because Stanton was running away from the ball.
You can hear the Philly fans that are here with the Chooch chant.
Well, it's that swing right there that's kept him around 350. Just taking that ball the other way. Chooch already has a career high in home runs, 11.
This is his 18th double. So now Pence, a guy that the Marlins had trouble getting out last night, homered to right, which is impressive in this park for a right-handed hitter, and had an RBI single in the 9th. If you follow the Marlins and the Phillies, you know that Pence is one of the few hitters in baseball that really chokes up on the bat. See his career numbers against Burley, very good, but not a real big sample size.
Where Pence's struggles have lied this year has been with runners in scoring position, just a little over 200.
It almost seems like that the guys that have had success against Burley, the common thread is a short, compact swing. Burley misses away, 3-1. Pence has a lot of moving parts, but once that swing starts, it's pretty direct to the ball.
And because he chokes up, as you pointed out, he keeps it short.
He smacks it into left field. That ball's well hit. Morrison has it, and the Phillies have opened the inning with a couple of line drive hits, the Ruiz double and a Pence single. And here comes Victorino with Wigginton behind him. Burley looked untouchable in the first, and here in the second he's given up 2 line drives.
And now because it's early in the game, you just concentrate on outs. You don't worry too much about Ruiz at third base.
Victorino 1 for 4 in last night's game. Reyes and Infante up the middle look for 2. Hanley Ramirez relaxed him back at third. Burley misses away.
Tough guy to double up in Victorino, and he's also on a little bit of a tear. He's on a 6-game hitting streak. Good numbers. Runner at third, less than 2 out.
Ruiz fits that criteria, and there's Pence across the diamond. Victorino tags that one into left center field. Ruggiano over, makes the catch. The run will score. Ruiz comes across. Pence back to first. And Victorino delivers the run. It's a 1-1 game. And you can hear the verbal sparring from Philly fans and Marlin fans.
It's always one of the things, like it or hate it, that's unique to games here. Marlins attract so many fans from other areas. Mets fans, Phillies fans, Cubs fans. You don't see that reaction in other parks. You don't see that in St. Louis. You don't see that in Philadelphia.
Well, you do see it in some places. You see it in Washington. Philly fans have taken over that ballpark.
That happens in other cities.
For the Red Sox, who have Red Sox Nation that travel so well, for the Yankees that have such national appeal, if you're out on the West Coast and you're in Oakland or Seattle, you see a ton of Yankee fans, a ton of Red Sox fans.
You see it in Tampa when the Yankees are in town.
Ty Wigginton has been a nice addition for the Phillies as they've tried to piece things together without Utley and Howard. Utley is back. Howard is on a minor league rehab right now. And Wigginton's appeal is that he can play really all over the place.
Well, we talked about it last night, the number of players that Charlie Manuel's used at first base. Wigginton, Luna, Mayberry, Tomey.
Boy, Burley now at 3-0. He looks like a completely different pitcher in the second inning from the first inning.
We had great command in the first inning and hasn't had the command here.
Pence is still at first.
The one thing, well, amongst many things, that we've learned about Mark Burley, though, we have seen him regain command. A lot of pitchers, if they lose it, they have trouble getting it back. Let's see if Pence is on the move on this 3-2 pitch with one out.
Papa John's Fox Tracks. Burley got him picked off. One of the best in the business. Pence now in a rundown, and Sanchez closes the flip from Infante. Pence shaking his head at Dana Demuth, the first base umpire, pleading that it was a balk.
Well, it's a runner's mistake if you're going in a non-stealing situation, a run and hit there, a hit and run. You're not supposed to get picked off. You're just moving. That's all you need to do. So when you get picked off in that situation, whether it's a balk or not, it's your mistake.
Wigginton walks. So in the inning, a double, a single, a sacrifice fly, a walk. And of course, Burley picking Pence off. Now down to the 8-hitter, John Mayberry. Burley throws a strike. Mayberry 0 for 3. His father, a big left-handed hitting first baseman, had some great years with the Kansas City Royals. Popped him up. Buck, on his way back, kicked over something on the on-deck circle.
Always tough treading when you have to maneuver your way around the on-deck circle.
Looked like it was one of the, there it is, a weighted ring that you slide on the end of the bat.
Yeah, that ring is a little more weighted than the donut that you used to have, the weighted donut.
More calories. Here's the 0-2.
There's a little more protein in that, too.
Off-speed pitch and a roller out towards Reyes. A flip to Infante. And the inning is over, but the Phillies draw even with a run. 1-1.
today. He's taking an approach a little bit differently with this team than the White Sox, especially with the younger players. More patience, more instruction. Case in point, Justin Ruggiano, though not a youngster in terms of rookie means, he's talked to a lot of these guys. Last night he talked to them after the double. He said anything in that right field area, he called the State Farm area where the advertisement is out there, if your name isn't Buck or Sanchez, he wants you on third base. And right in that gap out there, which we've mentioned before. But Ozzy's taking him to the side and say, hey, what were you thinking? He did the same thing with Lomo last night on second base. He said he was taking a lead that was only a couple of feet. He asked Lomo, what were you thinking? Lomo said, well, there's only one out. So one out. I want you taking a large secondary lead. And the way Ozzy puts it is, you either break your leg because I'm sending you, or you're safe and it's easy. He said, so it's up to you. So take a bigger lead. Even with Hanley, he said, run harder. Now, they wasn't talking about the play there that we saw earlier, but run harder to first. Let the coach make the decision often on when you're going to take that extra base, but run hard to start out with. And he has a way of doing it. He said, I don't yell at him. Basically, I say, Poppy, what were you thinking? Now, let's go back upstairs. I understand I've taken a little time up so you can enjoy some nourishment up in the booth.
Yeah, you always need that during the course of a ball game. Justin Ruggiano, a swing and a miss. The Taste of Miami has just delivered a couple of grouper sandwiches. What do you have over there?
I have some two different types of shrimp. I have a little mahi salad here. This is outstanding. And that's what you get when you go to the Taste of Miami.
Taste of Miami down the left field line. Very nice. And much appreciated to anyone down there in the Taste of Miami that's watching. There they are. You can get a good Cuban sandwich down there. Cole Hamels now, who gave up the home run to Stanton. Has an out here in the second. Into shallow right, Pence and Utley, and the last thing that Pence wants to do is run into Utley.
Good communication. You saw Utley call and waving off Pence, and fortunately for the Phillies, Pence saw that and pulled up to let Utley make the play.
It took him so long to get him on the field. You don't want to slide in and take him out. Gabby Sanchez now. Gabby an 0 for 3 ball game. Marlins got to see a lefty last night, of course, in Cliff Lee. Does that help a ball club going back to back against the lefties?
Nah, they're different type. Hamels, a little different delivery. Uses his changeup a whole lot more. I think in some cases, if you had a ball club where you had guys who only played against lefties, and maybe in the case of a Jose Reyes, a switch hitter, allows him to get some at bats from the right side. It allows that guy who only plays against lefties a couple of games in a row.
Watching Cliff Lee last night, it was a mystery to us as to why he didn't have a win, and he certainly should. He's pitched well enough to have wins. But lately, he's not pitched that well. Gabby hammers that ball in the left field. That's a base hit. A 2-out single to left for Gabby Sanchez, and that'll bring John Buck to the plate. Cliff Lee in his last 3 starts has given up at least 5 runs in all 3 of those starts.
Some have said his velocity might be down a couple of miles an hour, where maybe he was more around the 94 range. He's 90, 91, but still an outstanding pitcher. And you look at some of the games that he got no decisions. I think we mentioned it last night. He had a 10 shutout innings. He got a no decision earlier this year. Here's
John Buck now. You can look at the average at 182. You can look at the last 9 games in which he's hit 3 homers and has averaged close to 300. And it looks like little by little there's progress there, and Buck fouls that pitch back, and it's 0-2. 1-1 ball game. Phillies, Marlins. This is game 2 of a 3-game set. Marlins winners last night. Finale is tomorrow. Joe Blanton, Ricky Nolasco. The Marlins, after the ball game, head to Milwaukee for a 4-game series in the city of beer and brats.
So the Marlins will be spending the 4th of July in Milwaukee.
As if they need another reason to party at Miller Park. That is a lively place. Buck swings and misses, and Hamels strikes him out. Marlins are done in the second. 1-1. In Miami on a very hot afternoon, headed towards evening. Roof is closed. Everybody's comfortable. The rolling windows are shut. You have a great view of downtown. And as you look out from Marlins Park, both lefties have been touched for a run and a couple of hits in 2 innings. And Mark Buehrle throws a strike to Cole Hamels with Jimmy Rollins, Placido Polanco coming up in the 3rd as well. Hamels having a nice offensive year. He's hitting .226.
Yeah, he leads the Philly starters in base hits. Not here, though. It pitched pretty well by Mark Buehrle.
There's usually some money that changes hands among National League pitchers through the course of a season in terms of batting race, RBIs, home runs. You would think that a Carlos Zambrano will be taking home those honors for the Marlins. Ricky Nolasco has driven in some runs this year. Now Rollins called out on strikes in the 1st.
Zambrano leading the Marlins staff with 7 base hits.
Phillies don't have a long history against Buehrle. Buehrle first faced them in 2002. And that was at the Vet in 2002. Faced him a couple times in 2004.
Yeah, we mentioned he's 0-2 this year, but 3-2 in his career against Philadelphia.
Rollins has got to be the only Philly left from that era, right? 0-2. Swing and a miss. And Rollins goes down.
On this ball club, yeah.
So a pair of strikeouts for Burley. Tomorrow's a family Sunday. It's a 1:10 start, and it's also, as every Sunday is, Military Appreciation Day presented by Outback Steakhouse. Kids get a Marlins Stars and Stripes bucket cap courtesy of Pepsi and can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. 1-877 Marlins. Or for tickets and for parking, go to marlins.com. Here's Polanco. Gets jammed. Burley picks it off his shoe tops and throws him out. That's a 10-pitch inning for Mark Burley. We're going to the bottom of the third. 1-1 Miami and Philadelphia. Transmitted. Can't read that during a pitch in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Burley works fast on the mound. He works fast at the plate, and he takes down low from Hamels. Mark Burley, Jose Reyes, Hanley Ramirez for the Fish in the bottom of the third in a 1-1 game. Marlins got a Giancarlo Stanton line drive homer. Burley cracks a ground ball over to Wigginton, who steps on the bag. Shane Victorino with a sacrifice fly, and those are your two RBIs for the Phillies and the Marlins. We saw in that opening shot, Tommy, a young lady sitting with a Marlins fan right behind a Phillies fan, and she had a Mets shirt on. Now, if you're a Mets...
You'd never see that in St. Louis, by the way.
If you're a Mets fan, who are you pulling for in this one? I mean, you've got two National League East rivals.
I think if you're a Mets fan and you're watching the game here, you're pulling for the Marlins. Mets, by the way, are in Los Angeles. They got another win from R.A. Dickey last night. He goes to 12-1, 8 shutout innings.
That one is cranked down the left field line, and Reyes is going to have extra bases. Mayberry into the corner, and Jose Reyes with his 17th double. We told you he's hit Hamels well. And so Reyes is aboard, and here comes Hanley Ramirez.
Looked like a changeup that stayed up, and just a solid swing to hit that changeup that well. He has to stay back, keep his hands back. He did that perfectly and drilled it.
Now Hanley, who singled back in the first and then unwisely tried to stretch it into a double with Hunter Pence coming in on the ball, and Pence threw him out easily.
Rich, talking about the Mets in Los Angeles. the Dodgers have lost 10 out of 11. They've been shut out 5 times during that stretch. Ouch.
Kemp and Ethier need him in the lineup. Dodgers have lost 6 in a row overall.
And I think it just it just illustrates this game, how it's a roller coaster season, how a team like the Dodgers were off to a tremendous start. And now they've fallen on hard times. They've had some injuries.
And the Giants have surged. They had 4 consecutive shutouts on their way to first place. Inside corner, a strike. 0-1. Hanley against Hamels had a couple of home runs in the June 2nd win. 5-4, the Marlins won it. Hamels went 6 2/3. Both of Hanley's homers were high fly balls that just got out.
Hanley with 57 career at-bats against Cole Hamels. Pretty good number, 17 for 57.
Utley staying very close to Reyes out at second base. Reyes hasn't stolen a base since the Marlins were in Philadelphia back on the 2nd of June.
He's going to have a hard time here because Utley's really holding him close to the bag. So he's gotten off about as far as he can get off if Utley stays there. And a good job by the Phillies, good job by Hamels to spin and make that throw to keep him close.
And it's a lot easier if your defensive shift brings the second baseman towards second, as the Phillies do against Hanley Ramirez. Reyes bluffs, and the pitch is up and in.
Now, they've pitched inside to Hanley. If he gets anything out over the plate with Utley playing the way he is, there is a nice little hole over on the right side.
Hanley dumped a line drive into right for his hit in the first. Reyes bluffs. Hanley got it off the end of the bat, and Mayberry comes over and makes the catch.
Let's see if they pitch to Giancarlo in this at bat. They stayed inside. A lot of it had to do with, number one, the way they wanted to pitch Hanley, and also the situation.
Well, it's an interesting question whether they're going to pitch to Stanton or not.
It doesn't look like they are.
Ruiz just went out and picked out a piece of Hanley's bat.
Stanton's home run, by the way, is his 18th, his 11th here in this ballpark. So he's hit 11 home runs at home.
You got Logan Morrison on deck. First pitch is up, and these are the at-bats that Stanton has talked about knowing, and that Sports Illustrated article is great. He talks about the desire to just absolutely crush a ball and to stay compact and have a swing like that.
Yeah.
And he said his body tells him to hit the ball as far as he can. His mind tells him to just stay inside the ball and drive it.
You know, I talked about Stanton's 11 home runs at home. To put that in perspective, the Marlins as a team have hit 35.
Up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. Reyes around third. Here comes a throw. He is safe. And Stanton alertly takes second. Reyes didn't slide. Ruiz had a foot on the plate, and he and Reyes kind of got tangled up as he came across. Victorino made a surprisingly good throw. You would think Reyes would score automatically. I think that play was closer than Reyes thought it would be.
Closer than a lot of people thought it would be, but there's the Stanton that you just want to see. Men in scoring position, not think the Giancarlo Stanton that wants to hit one 500 feet, but think about the Giancarlo who wants to drive in the run. Drove that in nicely here, real close at the plate, and good running. Once he saw the throw from Victorino over the cutoff man's head, he took second base.
Stanton has driven in both runs for the Fish. Morrison takes inside. That's the Giancarlo
This is going to give you 100 RBIs a year.
And that's the part that he said in that article. That's the head winning out over the body. The body wants to crush it. The head says just drive it. 1-0 to Morrison.
I'm surprised he got a couple of pretty good pitches to hit. Fouled one off. Then he got a good pitch to hit on the base hit.
Yeah, the distance that comes out of the home run that he hit, 424.
That's one, if the green wall wasn't there, would have been 524 maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't do it justice because it was a laser and it was still motoring. He's hit the 3 longest home runs in Marlins Park this year, and that includes all players, not just the Marlins. The 462-foot shot off the scoreboard for the grand slam against Jamie Moyer, the 458-foot shot against the Giants, 456 against the Cardinals. Morrison pops it up, and Utley is under it, makes the catch. Marlins get another run, and it's Giancarlo Stanton who does the damage. (2-1) Cleveland Clinic, 4th inning. The Marlins have 2. Giancarlo Stanton actually has 2. A laser beam home run and an RBI single. I work every night with an ex-Philly, and now I get to work an inning with another ex-Philly. Gary Matthews, how are you?
It's my pleasure.
Good to see you.
Kind of wondering why they're even pitching to Stanton myself.
Now,
I mean, with the way that he's been swinging and hitting, but, you know, a lot of egos involved.
The other ex-Philly that was just sitting here said the same thing. He was surprised that Hamels even went after him, especially after the home run that he hit early in the ballgame.
Yeah, that ball he hit as hard as any ball I've seen hit this year, maybe for the exception of Jim Thome, straightaway center field at the Dome there in Minnesota.
Utley rips one into right field. And Chase Utley now 5 for 11 since coming back. Gary, what have you seen from Utley just in the few games? Has he missed a beat?
I got to tell you, nobody works harder. Just stellar all the time. This guy never really smiles a lot. But I got to tell you, though, in coming back with that patella tendon, I didn't think he'd be able to do it without an operation, but he sure has. And you're right, hasn't missed a beat. Home run, actually 3 hits his first game back. And the Fighting Phils, they need him, to say the least.
Carlos Ruiz at the plate. Now the Phillies, after the Marlins got their first run, came charging back in the second. Ruiz doubled, Pence singled, and Victorino chased Ruiz home with a sacrifice fly. This guy, in my estimation, from the outside looking in, is the Phillies MVP in the first half.
Oh, MVP should be starting in the All-Star game, although Buster Posey, I should say, is leading. Yadier Molina, I think, is second, and Carlos there with a little over 2 million votes. He's third and has the best stats of all the catchers, period.
Got him inside corner. I have a feeling you're going to see all three of them.
That's a good pitch.
In Kansas City.
Yeah, actually, though, well deserving. And, you know, maybe other than Papelbon, I mean, I don't think, or maybe Hamels, I can't see anyone else making it on the Philadelphia team.
Here is Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence was always one of our favorite players when he was in Houston. And he's been a terrific addition for the Phillies, and he pulls that one foul. We had the discussion last night, and it continued today. If you could pick between Jason Worth and Hunter Pence, whom would you pick? It's an interesting question.
Well, you know what it is. Both of them bring a lot of energy. However, Jason, for me, plays a little better defense. And I think that's really, when you have a lot of pitchers on your team there and we're built around pitching, you really need that defense just to be able to see how good your pitching is.
Pence pops it up. Gabby Sanchez retreats, and he's not going to get there. Your first time in Marlins Park for the Phillies. It's odd because the Marlins have been to Philly twice, and you guys arrive here. You've seen one game and 3 innings. What do you think?
Beautiful. Love this ballpark, and I, for one, think it's a fair ballpark. I think when you hit a ball goes a long way, like a Stanton, you get rewarded. I think our ballpark is more hitter friendly at Citizens Bank, if you will, there in Philadelphia.
Which is amazing that the Phillies have been able to do it with a great starting rotation in that ballpark that seems to be unfazed by the dimensions.
Well, you're looking at guys, in my estimation, sooner or later, especially with Roy Halladay, should be a Hall of Famer. Cliff Lee, that pitching, well, just really in a lot of bad luck, missing the spots. He's another really number one. And Cole Hamels, who's pitching today, is another one. So you shouldn't go in long losing spells, although that's the Detroit Tigers. It's not as easy as it might seem on paper.
Yeah, I think both the Marlins and the Phillies in a similar spot, looking up at the rest of the East and hopeful to get it turned around and get some momentum headed into the second half.
Yeah, well, for the Phillies, I mean, we're 3 downs now in the loss column against, the Marlins. You got to really get that gap. Then you got to get to 500 before you can even make a move.
But of course, the Phillies are adding a pretty good player. Heck, not a pretty good player, a great player in Ryan Howard. Although there's always a question when you're coming back from an Achilles, as Howard is, as to is he going to be the Ryan Howard that Philly fans know and love?
Remains to be seen. Your pitching coach, Eduardo Perez, had the same thing, Achilles tendon. And again, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Marlins can't get Hunter Pence out. Ball's bobbled in center field by Ruggiano, and Utley is going to take third. That'll be an error on Justin Ruggiano in center field. Pence is 2 for 2, and here comes Victorino.
Yeah, I thought there on that particular play, you have Chase actually slowing down. Take a look at it as he hits there. Now he's going to slow down a little bit, looking at the fielder all the way, and then no play. You want to make sure you just gather that ball up. Now you had runners on first and third and 1 out. Hitter's delight.
That's a great sign for the Phillies that Victorino, or that Utley is able to shift gears like that and get to third. I've been impressed with his mobility, both defensively and on the base pass so far.
Oh, this guy here is, without a doubt, the best second baseman in the history of the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, you can't think of anyone else better. Third base coach Juan Samuel was a second baseman and a pretty good player.
Burley knocks it down. Might get 2. Gotta hurry. Reyes in time. A double play. Mark Burley has won 3 consecutive Gold Gloves, and it's not by accident. And he starts the 1-6-3 double play. And the Marlins hang on to a 1-run lead. fielder. Gary Matthews, you've seen this act before, haven't you?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. This guy fields his position. No panic at all right there. And a good arm there by Reyes. Still bang, bang. You can only see it in slow motion, and you make the call. I thought that was a good call by the umpire.
Ruggiano pulls one down the left field line. And Justin Ruggiano continues to swing a hot bat as he leads off the fourth with a double. Ruggiano, who started the season in AAA with the Astros, the Marlins needed an outfielder who could play center, who hit from the right side. And boy, ever since he's arrived here, Gary, he's just impressed everyone.
Well, sometimes going and having a new opportunity will do just that for you. He's seizing that opportunity. The way you want to get noticed, catching that ball and getting hits, especially for the young players and coming up. And I don't know how the Miami does that. And looking from afar, they seem to always have good young talent, which really keeps your team strong.
Here's Omar Infante now, and with Ruggiano at second, the Marlins will try to get him over and get him in. Infante has popped a second, and he pushes a bunt to the right side. Wigginton makes the play. Utley covers. Infante is a pull hitter, so pushing a bunt probably easier for him. And Ruggiano is 90 feet away. All right, since we have you over here, let's do our AT&T trivia question. We flipped the phone. 1968 first-round picks. Giants hit 234 career homers. Name the only player to hit more. So the only other first-round pick in 68 that hit more home runs than Gary Matthews. That's what you're asking for, Crackstaff? Okay. Now, I saw you. I was a Bay Area kid, so I saw you in San Francisco.
I mean, are you seeing on my team or just in my draft at Mike Schmidt? Oh, boy.
Was Schmidt in your draft class?
Yeah.
Was he a first-round?
No,
he was not a first-round pick?
Wasn't a first-round pick. Maybe Doug DeCinces. How about that pick? He's in my draft pick.
Infield's in. Sanchez fouls it back. Big at bat now here. Phillies with the infield in and Ruggiano. Now we have sound effects for our trivia. Do you have sound effects on your trivia over there in Philadelphia?
Oh, just like that same noise. I'm used to that. Or I should say Wills is used to that.
Here's the 1-1. Gabby pops it up. And Rollins is there. Was Dave Kingman in that draft class?
No, he wasn't, but I was thinking Dave Winfield might have been in that same class.
Here's the answer. Bull. And he's here with a group. Yeah.
I was with that group this morning, by the way. Yeah, I'd like that. Greg Farina was a good hitter, too, by the way.
And makes a mean brisket out there at the ballpark in Bull's Barbecue.
Oh, he sure does.
Obviously, the Phillies would rather pitch to Burley than Buck. That's why the Gabby Sanchez bat was crucial. And instead of delivering the run, Hamels was able to get a pop-up. And so Buck is aboard. Here comes Burley. What difference will Ryan Howard make? When does Roy Halladay come back? I think those are all questions that Philly fans who are watching probably have in their minds.
Well, first of all, with Ryan Howard, he's starting to play, starting to slide. He should be back a little sooner than people think. On Roy Halladay, starting to throw on flat ground, and as you know, once they start that, and both these guys are in tremendous shape, and they should be coming back really, really soon. And without a doubt, they need them. They're not going to be able to win without them.
Burley off of Hamels. Can he beat it out? Ruiz's throw. He's on the bag and out. What a play by Carlos Ruiz. Burley almost beat it. Well, it was Burley's play that stole a run from the Phillies, and Ruiz's play steals one from the Fish. Gary Matthews, thanks for the visit.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, buddy. Inning, first by Burley, and this one by Ruiz. Watch this replay and watch the toe of Ty Wigginton.
So many times when it looks like the first baseman has come off the bag, he doesn't until after he makes the catch. And Wigginton stayed on the bag. Yeah, his foot came off, but he'd already caught the ball. Was talking over on Phillies TV, Rich, with Burley, how he helps himself win games so many ways. You saw he started the double play. He'll make pitches. And I said as soon as he figures out hitting, he'll help himself that way. And he almost did last inning.
Wigginton leads it off. John Mayberry and Cole Hamels into the fifth in a 2-1 ball game. We'll see what sprinting 90 feet did to Burley, if it does anything, has any effect here in the top of the fifth. But a 1-run game. Marlins have a couple of RBIs from Giancarlo Stanton. Wigginton walked his first at bat, and he takes that one in, and it's 2-1.
This is fun today. We have a lot of activity up here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a Saturday afternoon at the ballpark. That's what you get. It's a 2-1 ball game. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. I don't know if you noticed, Tommy, but there was a very large man throwing out the first pitch and taking batting practice.
I did notice that.
And he had some good hacks. I thought for a moment it was Giancarlo Stanton up there. But world champion Shane Battier, Gary Thurman, look at that. That's a line drive swing.
You hit one to the track. I saw you hit the one to the track. You hit that one really well.
There's a witness.
Yeah.
There's a witness.
That man has played some baseball at some point in time. He joins us now. First of all, congratulations on the World Championship.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for stopping by. Congrats.
Thank you. It's a dream come true. It's a dream come true to win an NBA title. It was also a dream true to take batting practice today.
Now, you're a very brave guy because most celebrities, athletes, actors that they get to take batting practice, they show up like at 3 o'clock when no one's in the place, and they take their hacks. You took your hacks after the Phillies were done hitting, and the place was half full.
Well, I'm a former baseball player. I actually thought I was going to be a major league pitcher growing up. I love baseball. It was my first love, and so I'm not afraid to pick up the stick. It's been about 15 years since I swung a bat, but I still have it.
You got little blisters? You got some blisters going?
Look at that. I mean, that's
he's rocking the high stirrups too.
Old school.
That's right. When did the growth spurt come and you went down the basketball path?
In that picture, I was actually in 6th grade. I was 6 feet tall. And that summer I grew 4 inches, and I was 6'4" going into 7th grade. I said, I may have a future in this basketball thing. And then beginning of 8th grade, I was 6'8". I haven't grown. So, but I still played baseball in high school. Played it for a year. I pitched, played first base, and didn't have any power. I was a pretty good singles hitter, but had a great time.
You grew up in Michigan?
Yep.
Detroit Tiger fan?
That was my first sport, really my first memory. '84, the Bless You Boys with
Gibby and
Trammell and
sure.
Whitaker and Guillermo Hernandez, and that was my first memory of sports and the victory parade.
That's a pretty good memory. Those were pretty good teams.
I'm dating myself a little bit, but there were some great teams.
Mark Burley with a 2-1 pitch and a line drive over the head of Omar Infante.
I'll tell you what, that home run by Stanton in the first inning after taking BP today, I couldn't believe how hard he hit that ball. And he missed it. He missed that ball.
What happened there? That's the cracked staff. We got to replay.
We got to get the. I mean, we love Cholula hot sauce,
but you got to show the first pitch.
I'm disappointed. I am just as a former player.
Here we go. Here we go.
In Exmo.
Not bad. Good delivery. You left it up a little.
You know what? Everyone psyched me out before the game. They said, "Don't bounce it. Don't try to get fancy. Just get it over the plate." And I lost faith in my arm. I should have trusted. And I should have went for the gas.
Now, I'm sorry, but don't be disappointed in yourself. We saw Bosch throw a first pitch last year, and it was not pretty. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Rollins, and it's down low. How has the I know it hasn't been long to sink in, but how has it changed you? The championship at the NBA level. You won a national championship at Duke, of course, but it's a little different.
I'm still the same guy.
Yep.
I'm still the same guy. You know, you can add that one line to your business card. You're an NBA world champion. It's been an unbelievable victory lap, though, and just the city of Miami has been fantastic, and you know, it's a championship city now with 2 rings for the Marlins, 2 rings for the Heat. It's been fantastic.
Cole Hamels trying to outsmart Mark Burley, not usually
which brings up the line, what was he thinking?
As my father would say, Tommy, he wasn't. 2-1, Marlins on top as we head to the bottom of the 5th. He just wasn't, Tommy. Teams try to add pitching and defense. Here in the booth, we've added 3-point shooting and an all-around game and a couple of world champions here.
We got defense. We got great defense.
That's right. And Chris Bosch joins us now. Now, we saw you throw out a first pitch last year, right?
Yes.
Okay, what did you think of your teammates' effort?
I didn't. I think I just saw his, it was a little high. It was nice.
Now we don't have film of a certain somebody's first pitch from last year.
Do we have? I'm sure they have it somewhere. It was real good.
They're looking through the archives.
The
right
crack
now.
staff is going for it. They're digging for it.
It was real
People
good.
on glass stones.
Chris had a great line when he sat down. Rich, I don't know if you heard him. He said, in baseball, play-by-play, we have to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Basketball is just describing the action.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of action going on, but there are some periods in baseball where it's not much happening. So I'm sure if you don't like the person you're working with, he tried what was your grip?
Two-seamer. Two-seamer, it got away from me. I was trying to cut it a little bit.
That's when you get in trouble.
It got away from me.
That's when you get in trouble.
About cutters and two-seamers. Listen to this.
That's when you get in trouble trying to throw it. I'm going to grip it this way, and it just goes bad.
I should have stuck with the knuckleball.
What do you guys think of this ballpark? I know that you've been a little busy up until the last week or so. Hanley Ramirez to left field, right at Mayberry, and he makes the catch. Reyes still at first. Marlins Park, your impressions of it?
It's very nice. I've been wanting to get here since the season started, and we just didn't have time during the regular season, and then the playoffs came, and I had to put it off. But the first chance I got, I wanted to come check it out, and it's very nice. I was asking why they didn't have the top out, but they were like, "No, it's too hot.
Yeah, well,
it's way too hot." So
that's right.
I could appreciate that.
Got the AC on.
Yeah,
it's amazing
nice
how quickly this place cools down once they close the roof.
Did Stanton get a chance to talk to you guys? Did you see Giancarlo before the game?
No, I think he was focusing. Obviously,
I know he went out to a lot of games.
Yeah,
Reyes is running, and the fastball's high. His first stolen base since June 2nd.
From what I understand, he was a heck of a player.
He was offered a basketball scholarship to UNLV. USC was on him for football, and he signed as a high schooler for baseball.
I think it's working out.
Yeah, it has.
A little bit.
When you can hit a ball like that, it works out. Now, the Phillies have finally learned it looks like. He's homered against them. He has an RBI single, and Hamels is going to walk him intentionally.
Crowd doesn't like that, do they?
Hey, Rich, I wanted to ask Shane the difference, I'm sure both enjoyable in an NCAA championship compared to NBA championship.
It's different. It's different. This is my 11th year. It was a long journey to get to this point. And there were points where I didn't think I'd ever be able to call myself a champion. And so for the weight factor alone, this is really, really special. And but college is college. College was great and different, and I was very fortunate to be able to have experienced both.
And both of you guys really had to start your NBA careers in spots where the team really wasn't built. You were kind of the early pieces. You with the Grizzlies, right, in Vancouver, and Chris, you with Toronto.
Yeah, I was. It was just a totally different situation in Toronto. I was the focal point, so you really learn coming to this situation. I've learned so much about the game because there are so many different levels that you have to be good at, and like Shane said, it's a long journey. It's the longest, one of the longest out there, and it was just rewarding just to go from one spot to another and be successful.
How's your stomach, and will we see you in the Olympics?
Oh no, I just released yesterday that I won't be able to participate this year. It could, per doctor's orders, we just want to make sure that nothing happens out of it. So I need to rest and rehab and get ready for next year.
Was his buddy Coach K understanding about that?
They were understanding. I called Coach K to make sure. I didn't want him to hear it from anybody but me, and we had a conversation, and they're understanding. They understand what's going on, and everybody's great out there. So, thank you USAB for everything.
I'm available if they need me. I'm not doing anything.
Well, you've got Coach K's number on your speed dial, so that's the guy to call. Morrison's up. Reyes is running. Right behind him is Stanton. The throw's high, and it's a double steal.
How about that, Rich? He hadn't stolen a base in almost a month, and he throws out two in about a two-pitch period. That's good to see, Jose Reyes. And heads up by Stanton to follow him to second base.
Is Reyes getting more comfortable now?
Yeah.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah. Right, the Marlins are missing their fastest guy, Emilio Bonifacio, but Reyes now has 18 stolen bases. All right, this is what's awesome. Known in basketball terms as a clutch shot. You need a guy to drive a ball to the outfield, or with the infield back, just put it in play on the ground. Morrison trying to pick up an RBI. Hamels a good strikeout pitcher, misses inside. It's 2-1. That's right around the major league average, 50%. Driving a runner in from third with less than 2 outs.
Shane knows all these numbers. What's the numbers?
About 50%.
What's the percentages saying?
About 50%.
Huh?
About 50%.
50%?
Lefty on lefty matchup, those are tough matchups.
So is that what they do all year? Stuff they don't know, they ask you?
Yes.
That's another way of saying you're old. You're old.
3-1 to Morrison. Hamels ready. Big breaking ball, and that's a strike. Hamels, one of the top strikeout pitchers in the National League. This is start number 16. He has struck out 2 today, 108 on the season. And obviously, that's what he's thinking right now. 3-2 coming. Missed outside, and they are loaded for Ruggiano. Shane Battier, Chris Bosch with us. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton.
I got a question for both, for Shane and for Chris. The shorter season with fewer off days, how was the effect of that, or was there much? Turned out to be a pretty good year.
Yeah, somebody had to win, but it was gonna. It was just a. It was a very crazy, very fast season. I don't ever remember not playing. It's like we had a game every day, every other day. It was just no rest.
Felt like the Marlins.
Like baseball.
It did.
Yeah.
Justin Ruggiano right now has doubled and struck out. Hamels looks in. Bags loaded. Phillies looking for a ground ball. Ruggiano looking for a pitch he can drive. Big moment in a low-scoring game here in the bottom of the 5th. Didn't bite on the changeup. It's 2-1.
See, we got you guys up here to get a rally going.
Well, let's do this.
All right, what's he going to throw here, guys?
Fastball. Inside.
Changeup.
Away.
You were close. That was close. I was about to say changeup, but you know I.
You didn't want to overstep the bounds of the elder stattement, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to. Shane is he's the guru of baseball on the team, so.
2-2. Ruggiano left center field deep. Back goes Victorino at the track, and he makes the catch. Everybody tags. Reyes will score. Morrison arrives at second, and Stanton to third. And boy, did he get a pitch to drive. He drove it about 390 feet from home plate.
2 nights in a row, Rich, the Marlins have hit a ball in that area with the bases loaded that would have been grand slam home runs in Philadelphia. But Ruggiano has again come through with a really nice at bat, good adjustment, launched this ball a long way. For a moment you thought it might get to the base of the home run sculpture, but Victorino was right there for it.
Still second and third, 2 outs, and here is Infante, who was popped out and has a sacrifice bunt. Chris, now baseball for you. Did you play it at all as a kid?
I played in high school. We weren't very good, but it was fun. I played T-ball growing up, and I think I played maybe like 12 and under, 13 and under for a while. And then I played high school for a couple years, but basketball was a lot better for me.
Now, are basketball players like baseball players think they can play all other sports?
I think everybody's like that. I know better because I've actually tried. I can't go to a hockey player and think I can play hockey because I can't even skate good.
Infante to center. That ball's well hit, but Victorino is there and makes the catch. Shane Battier, Chris Bosch, thanks not only for coming on, but thanks for the championship. The entire city thanks you. And congratulations, guys.
Thanks, guys, for having us.
All right. And they're pretty good.
It's fun.
Calling baseball as well. brought to you by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. It's going to be a great evening in Miami. It's hot outside, cool inside. Justin Ruggiano just missed a grand slam. He had to settle for a sacrifice fly. It's 3-1 into the sixth. Mark Burley, a bunt, and for Burley, that's a layup. As long as we have basketball players in here.
Yeah, might as well do that. What excitement those guys gave everybody in South Florida.
Absolutely.
Wow, that was great.
And, Bosch, I think one of the great contributions for Bosch, turning himself in, from what he said, a focal point in Toronto to a terrific team player.
There are a lot of athletes can't do that.
Yes, and he certainly did. And Battier added the three-point shooting, and it sounds like anytime there was a question about anything, whether it's baseball, physics, politics, it sounds like Battier was the go-to guy on that team. It's what happens when you've got that college run at Duke.
So let me see if I can figure this out. Battier, the go-to guy off the court. LeBron, the go-to guy on the court.
There you go. Burley has a couple of outs here. Chase Utley taking his time coming to the plate. The Marlins really extending Cole Hamels that last inning. Both lefties have thrown exactly 79 pitches in this one. Utley is singled and struck out. Phillies got their run in the second. It was a great play by Burley. Utley says he got hit. The home plate umpire, Doug Eddings, said no. I don't know if Utley chicken winged that one, but
he has been known to do that. And we talk about his stance, how he's right on top of the plate. Hands are actually over the inner part of the plate.
Now that we see Utley, we just saw Colby Rasmus. I think Rasmus is further out over the plate than Utley right now.
Up higher, though. His hands are up higher.
Right, but I think he's closer, and he crowds it even more than Utley does. That new stance that Rasmus has. Little tapper. It's a fair ball. Buck picks it up, and a rather pedestrian sixth inning for Mark Burley. Marlins on top. Miami 3-1 here against the Phillies.
Welcome back here to Marlins Baseball as we go to the bottom of the sixth inning. Rich has been talking about the Sports Illustrated magazine. I asked Giancarlo Stanton before the game had he seen it, and he said, "Is that the one with LeBron on the cover?" And I said, "Yes, I have it back there. I didn't know I was in this one." But he said it's neat to be in the same magazine with LeBron here on the cover. And there's some great pictures in here, too, including this one where you see the chiseled frame of Giancarlo with the headline on the story. As you see, Polanco there at third with his typical good defense. Name changer, game changer. Now, among the stories here in Sports Illustrated, it talks about a area code game in Long Beach, California, where Stan at the time was hitting only around 200 his junior year and was not even invited. In fact, a Stanton family friend had to go to the scout organizing the game to suggest, hey, using Stanton as one of the 200 players. It took 15-pitch batting practice to turn the scouts' attention to Giancarlo. Mike, at that point, hit 6 out and became the talk of that, and I guess you could say the rest is history. Guys?
It's a good read, and he's turning into an incredible player.
Not sure if they still do, but that field, Blair Field, used to be where Long Beach State played their home games. I'm not sure if they still play them there.
Let's go down and we could ask. Now, Chase Utley went to UCLA, but he grew up in Long Beach.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he played many games there.
Anybody that grew up playing baseball in Southern California played games at Blair Field in Long Beach.
John Buck with 1 out. Hamels delivers. And Buck fouls it off his foot. And the count's 1-2. Mark Burley is on deck. Marlins got a run in the first on the Stanton home run, his 18th, 424 feet, and still rising when it smacked into the green wall in left center field. Buck goes down at a breaking ball. He is punched out a couple times in the ball game. And here comes Burley, and you know, both pitchers were helped by terrific defense in the fourth. Burley was up with runners at the corners and 2 outs. He hit a ball off of Hamels' leg. He pulls that one foul. Carlos Ruiz hopped out from behind home plate and threw Burley out by a step.
That was a great reaction play by Ruiz.
And the half inning earlier, Burley smothered a ball on the mound and started a 1-6-3 double play against Shane Victorino, and that came with a runner at third base. That ended the inning. That saved a run as well. Mark swings and misses, and it's 1-2.
So much happened, Rich, while I was gone.
A lot has happened. That pitch misses outside. Let's see. Gary Matthews came in. Cole Hamels tried to run against Mark Burley, got picked off. Shane Battier showed up. Chris Bosh showed up.
I think Battier called that, though.
Wigginton, and Burley is thrown out by a step again. He'll get that base hit. from the Phillies that have led their team in hitting. Tim McCarver did it in 71. Bo Diaz in 92. Mike Lieberthal back in 03. Carlos Ruiz right now. Just as the Phillies are depending on Carlos Ruiz, you too can depend on Just for Men.
A lot more names than I would have thought of.
Well, Carlos Ruiz stands in with Hunter Pence, Shane Victorino in the 7th. Burley flips up a 81-mile-an-hour. You want to say change, but it's almost like a batting practice fastball from Burley.
Here's the great thing about Burley. He's had to run up the line hard a couple of times. Last time to end the inning. Most pitchers go in the dugout after that. They'll towel off. They'll take a while. He goes in the dugout, gets his glove, and he's back out there taking his warm-up tosses.
Yeah, both times he's had to run up the line has ended the inning. And you're right. He's always up there ready to pitch before the commercial break is over. And he was again in both those cases.
And I think it's a part of his game that's probably not talked about a whole lot.
Off the end of the bat, Stanton over, makes the catch.
He's 33 years old, but a part of the game that maybe isn't talked about as much is that he's in good shape. He gets his workouts in between starts. He knows what he has to do. And going up the line hard a couple of times to end innings, he's right back out there on the mound, wasting no time.
Here is Hunter Pence now. Pence is 2 for 2 in this one. He has 4 hits already in the series. And he takes inside. Now, Pence, of course, was a trading deadline deal coming over from Houston last year. The big piece that the Astros have this year is big in more ways than one. And in real life, he's big. He's El Caballo. He's Carlos Lee. And today, a report that the Astros had talked to the Dodgers about
who are starving for offense.
And Carlos Lee apparently said he didn't want to go to the Dodgers. He has a no-trade veto. And it sounds like he's not too hot on playing for the Dodgers. The other
he's not a Southern California, L.A. type of guy, El Caballo.
No, because he's a rancher. He raises cattle. Here's the 3-1. Pence drives that one left center field deep. Morrison looks up. That ball is gone. The Marlins cannot get Hunter Pence out. 3 for 3. Second homer of the series. 1-run game.
Hunter Pence came into this game hitting .462 this year against the Marlins, and he's added to that with his 3 for 3 day. Hit a home run last night against Josh Johnson. Goes down and just smokes this ball. He surprises you and a lot of people, I think, with his power, the way the ball jumps off his bat.
You watch him take batting practice,
then you're not surprised.
You're not surprised because the ball just explodes off his bat. Batting practice, he put a couple up in the Budweiser bar and balcony area. I mean, his swing is not a thing of beauty, but it is lethal and effective. Now Victorino with Wigginton on deck. It's been a real good ball game in front of a lively crowd, and Victorino knocks one into center field. He's got a hit and a threat to run, although you've got Burley on the mound with one of the best pickoff moves in all of baseball.
And the Phillies have seen that this afternoon.
Yeah, he picked Hunter Pence off in the second, and then for some reason Cole Hamels decided to break for second while Burley had the ball. Randy St. Clair's on his way out to the mound. Now, there's a lot of news in baseball today. We talked about Carlos Lee and those rumors with the Dodgers. Yesterday we were discussing Jim Thome and the fact that the Phillies have been looking for an American League partner that might need the pop. And we were discussing on air what teams might need him. And one of the teams that we settled on that really could use him would be the Baltimore Orioles. And there are reports today, MLB Network is reporting, that the Orioles and the Phillies are chatting about that very thing.
Yeah, we kind of went through some of the teams in the American League. Some really don't need a designated hitter. some are going to be out of the race. So you kind of narrow it down, and Baltimore was one of those. What a nice ballpark that would be for him to hit in.
Throw to first. Now, FoxSports.com, Ken Rosenthal and John Paul Morosi are reporting, and this is contrary to what we read earlier today, that Carlos Lee right now has told the Astros and reporters that he is still deciding as to whether to accept the trade to the Dodgers. Apparently, the principles and the names have already been agreed to. It's pending Carlos Lee's approval. That from Ken Rosenthal and John Paul Morosi of FoxSports.com.
The next question would be, would the Dodgers play him at first base or in left field? James Loney really offensively is not supplying the Dodgers with much, so I would guess first base.
Oh, 0-2 to Ty Wigginton. Burley misses away.
I think that visit may have been just to give Burley a little breather.
Marlins bullpen in action.
Ty Wigginton at Joe Robbie, at Sun Life, at Pro Player. Hit 7 home runs and hit .333. He loved it there.
Foul tip, and Buck held it. Wigginton strikes out. That's a big out for Burley to get. Up comes Mayberry. In a 3-2 game in the top of the 7th. Our JM Lexus game reset. Marlins getting their first 2 runs. Giancarlo Stanton's bat. A solo homer, an RBI single. Justin Ruggiano sacrifice fly. And Hunter Pence has been heavily invested in the Phillies' 2 runs. Pence a single in that second inning that moved Carlos Ruiz up, who scored on the sacrifice fly by Shane Victorino, and then Pence homering here in the 7th. Victorino still at first, and now with 2 outs, Burley focusing a little more attention on him. That ball's driven to left field. Morrison is over for it and is there, and he makes the catch. Phillies get 1 back on the home run by Pence, his 2nd of the series. 3-2 Miami. Twitter.com/Marlins. Follow the Marlins at Twitter.com/Marlins. 3-2 ball game. Cole Hamels has lost only 3 games all year. He's 10-3. 2 of those 3 losses are to the Marlins. Jose Reyes was 2 for 3 in this ball game. And he takes a fastball up. Reyes to be followed by Hanley Ramirez and Giancarlo Stanton in a 1-run Marlin lead after the 7th inning stretch.
Reyes has 11 hits against the Phillies this year. 6 of those have been doubles.
Toyota trend 17-7 when they have a player pick up 3 or more hits.
I think we'll see Reyes' average as a right-handed batter come up as the season progresses. Got off to a real slow start hitting against lefties.
Got jammed, and that ball's going to trickle foul. Counts 2-2. There are your splits versus lefties. As a right-handed hitter, he's at 239.
And you know what? Coming into this season, lifetime against lefties, 305. So you know somewhere along the line, some left-handers are going to pay the price.
Against Hamels, he's over 360 in his career.
In a big sample size, too.
Yes. Well over 40 at bats. 3-2 coming. And Hamels wins this battle with a lot of zip on that fastball. Reyes swings and misses.
I think this was a chance where you may have seen Hamels go with the changeup, but he still has a live fastball and a good one there to get Reyes.
Hanley Ramirez has a single, which he tried to make into a double back in the first. Didn't quite work out. And he smacks a line drive to left. He's hit 3 line drives that have been caught. Mayberry in left has caught all 3 of them.
Hanley swung the bat good all 4 times.
So 2 outs, and this should be interesting. You've got Stanton, who is homered, has an RBI single, and the Phillies intentionally walked him in the 5th. And now there's nobody on. Charlie Manuel, a guy that has immense respect for Stanton.
Right now, in Charlie Manuel's mind, he's saying the Marlins have a man in scoring position. They have the shift on. And again, you don't see it that often with a right-handed batter. But there's Utley right here, the second baseman.
Hamels cut that one in, and it's 2-1. He's now just 1 RBI shy of 50. This is game number 77. So still 5 games away from the halfway point if you include this one.
Carlos Beltran leading the league with 60 RBIs. Picked up his 2000th hit last night in St. Louis.
Stanton gets the bat around and fouls that off. I cannot imagine a scenario that has Stanton in the home run derby and not on the all-star team. If you look at the
he is the Marlins all-star.
Absolutely. If you look at the Marlins roster, he's the guy that jumps out. 2-2. And if this were late May, you might be able to include a Omar Infante on that list.
Infante's tailed off. There's some other second basemen that are deserving as well. Brandon Phillips having a pretty good year. Dan Uggla's really dropped. He's the people's choice right now as far as the voting. And our favorite, Jose Altuve, who's got an injured hamstring right now.
Stanton got a piece of that, or did he miss it? Apparently missed it. So he strikes out. The Marlins go in order. And it's a one-run ball game. Miami on top. Mark Burley started this one, and he was dealing. He worked a 1-2-3 first inning. Giancarlo hit a laser beam that almost went through the green wall, and the Marlins were off and running, 1-0. Not so fast. Shane Victorino's sacrifice fly. Carlos Ruiz would score. Then the Marlins got busy again. Jose Reyes led off the third with a double. Giancarlo Stanton again into center field, an RBI single. And the Marlins back on top by a score of 2-1. Then the running game took over. A double steal in the fifth with Reyes and Stanton behind him. Justin Ruggiano with the bags loaded just missed a grand slam. He settled for a sacrifice fly, 3-1, but then Hunter Pence, his second homer of the series. That against Mark Burley. That came in the seventh inning, and it's the end of the line for Burley. Mike Dunn out of the Marlins bullpen. Dunn enters. And he takes over. He gets the number 9 spot.
That's going to be the pinch hitter, Hector Luna.
So Hamels will be out of the ball game at the same time that Burley is out of the ball game. So Hamels can't win it. Burley can't lose it. But certainly the outcome still in doubt. A one-run game. Hector Luna is probably a little disappointed he didn't get up to face Mark Burley. He is 6 for 8 in his career. And the former Fish takes a strike.
You can see the confidence all of a sudden, Rich, that Ozzie and his staff are gaining in the job that Mike Dunn has done. And I know you look at his last few outings, you had a great conversation with him before the game about things that he worked on, and it's great to hear when a player goes down and works on specific things.
Dunn had an appearance down in the minor leagues that was a little over 3 innings, and he knew he was going to be in there for a long time. The 0-2 pitch. To left, Morrison is in, and he makes the catch. And Mike said, and Mike's a max effort guy. When the Marlins got him, and when we saw him last year, he came in, he threw the fastball hard, he threw the slider hard. He knew that he had to last more than 3 innings, so he said, I wasn't max effort. I went out there, relaxed, and just tried to pace myself. And what he found was his command. All of a sudden, he could command his pitches. And at the end of that 3+ inning effort, he said, he thought to himself, if I could pitch like that all the time, just think how good it would be. And he realized that he'd been pitching to velocity, in his words, instead of pitching to command. Pitching to control.
And what he's had and what has really stood out since he's been back has been command. And it's a great concept that a lot of young pitchers are groomed on max effort 1 inning. And you never really learn how to pitch that way. So that's a great example of Dunn learning how to pitch a little bit because he knew he had to go 3 innings in that game and really turning things around.
And pitchers know, hitters know, players know their strengths and their weaknesses. And Dunn said his weakness this year, quite honestly, was he couldn't throw his breaking ball for strikes, so everyone just sat and waited for the fastball. That one caught by Hanley Ramirez. Rollins robbed of a hit.
Hanley saying, you know what, I've hit a few balls hard this afternoon. I think I'm going to rob somebody else, and it was Jimmy Rollins that time. Good reactions and a well-timed perfect leap.
And every time he gets a ball like that, I think back that day at Roger Dean, you and I were watching.
I was thinking the same thing.
A spring training game, someone hit a line drive just like that, and it was over Hanley's head, probably about 2 feet over his head, and he did not move. The ball went right over his head. By the time he raised his glove up, it was in left field. And you and I looked at each other like, this is going to take a while.
He did assure everybody, though, after the game that when the season starts, I'll make that catch.
And he has. Polanco. He's been a tough out this year for the Marlins. Though he is 0 for 3 in this one. He lined out to Morrison and left his last time up, and Dunn with a count 0-2. There's that breaking ball. Dunn off the mound, has it, sets, fires nicely. Dunn.
Great job.
Mike Dunn, a 1-2-3, 8th. 3-2, Miami. To win 4 tickets and a Fiesta Suite for an upcoming game at Marlins Park, just go to your local participating retailer and look for the Corona Light display for details on how to enter and win. (3-2), Marlins on top, and as Logan Morrison steps in, some news breaking surrounding the Phillies. Michael Schwimmer takes over for Cole Hamels. Ken Rosenthal of FoxSports.com and MLB Network is reporting that the Phillies have reached a deal with the Baltimore Orioles to trade Jim Thome. No details on